Assalamu alaikum. My role is 214110007. My name is Soyed Abu Umair and I am a student of Naval Architecture and Offshore Engineering, uh, batch NAOE 04. So today my assignment topic is port competition. Um, so how the economy of the country is centered around the port. So first evaluating the first evaluating on the basis of the port competition, first we'll need to know that how the economy of a country is centered around the around the port. So the global factors, or the factors that are responsible for the port being the most important operational factors contributing to the economic of the country are global economic environment, globalization, transportation industry, ports, service level, and financial and overall performance of companies. So these are the factors that enhance a port uh, to be a factor for the economy to be centered around the port. So um, global competition is a highly influencing factors. Globalization, role of transportations. The role of transportations includes supply chain strategies and impact on performance, and the critical link which includes importance of post service level impacts and the market dynamics. So market dynamics is a very fluctuating topic, and the market dynamics play a vital role uh, in the economical contribution of the port towards the country. Market economics uh, includes frequent disruptions and adaptation to market conditions. So, what is the definition of port competition? There is no specific definitions for port competition, but uh, a definition from the research paper, a definition was collected serving a few research paper. It was the port competition is broadly defined as the competition among port undertaking or terminal operation concerning specific transactions. So in our country Bangladesh, there are ports: Chittagong Port, Mongla Port, Paira Port. So the intra-port competition takes place between this port regarding um, how they can attract the vessel, how they can provide the facilities to the vessel so that they can uh, earn much revenue uh, completing the port functions. So if we categorize the port studies, then the competition is factorized in based on the terminal. Now what are the basic factors in which is impacting upon the port competition? Every port has some common facilities. So distinguishing uh, these facilities remain the same, but the efficiency of the facilities may vary. So the basic facilities are includes as the terminals, port as a part of transportation and supply chains, policy and regulations, planning, development, governance, competition and competitiveness, and spatial analysis. So uh, the measurement for the port competition, there are uh, speculated measurement methods. These measurement methods includes port productivity and efficiency, port performance, port selections, and port competitiveness. Uh, port Sorry for the interruptions. So the measurement methods includes port productivity, efficiency, port performance, port selections, and port competitiveness. Most studies uses this approach, adopting the theoretical perspective. Uh, a noticeable number apply mathematical modeling, with few using stochastic or simulation tools. Uh, According to Murphy and Daly, the 9 factors that affect import selections are shipment information, loss and damage performance, low freight charges, equipment availability, convenient pickup and delivery, claims handling ability, special handling ability, large volume of shipment, large and odd size freights. Uh, Port selection. as there were multiple research uh, uh, formulations based on the sport selections, and uh, the theory was given on a basis of a prolonged period of time, from starting from 2000 to 2010. I have collected some data on how the research was how what the research says about the port selection. The port selection depends on port charges in infrastructures, shippers experience, like uh, if I consider my country Bangladesh, then if a ship, there are a few port have draft restrictions, few port might have few port might the facility of one port can be better than that of the other. So here a shipper experience, if a shipper get more facility, or if a shipper can discharge his cargo in less time in Chirang port than that of Mongla port, surely he will choose the Chirang port over the Mongla port. So the shipper experience is a much vital factor. The less obstacles a shipper is facing, uh, the more he will choose the port effectively. HP technique. Uh, this technique is used to determine the criteria importance in transshipment port choice: total quality management, econometric analysis. So uh, the econometric analysis is done uh, in this case of port selections, because this plays a very vital role in choosing the port selections. So disaggregate analysis, managerial institution perspective. uh, Managerial and institutional perspective is the comparison and competitive analysis between ports. Regression and game theoretical analysis, this is used to study port competition and competitiveness. And service quality, customer satisfaction, post behavior, as I said in the previous, the shipper experience is also a part of this. So important dimension of the post service are service quality, customer satisfaction, and post behavior. So measurement of post port productivity and efficiency are categorized or evaluated based on two models. These models are data envelopment analysis, also in the short form of DEA, and stochastic frontier analysis, also in the short form of SFA. So what are the differences between DEA and SFA? So the inputs, and if we consider the inputs might include labor, capital, and operational costs for DEA, and the output might include cargo throughput, number of ships, service, and revenue. What is the efficiency score of DEA? DEA constructs a frontier of best performing DMU. Efficiency of each DMU is calculated as the ratio of weighted outputs to weighted inputs. An efficiency score of 1 indicates a port is on the frontier, and while a score of less than 1 describes its inefficiency. Now moving to the SFA, similar to DEA, SFA use inputs like labor and capital, and output like cargo, throughput, and revenue. What is the efficiency estimation? SFA model the production function incorporate a term for random error and term of inefficiency. The stochastic frontier is estimated, and inefficiency effects are separated from random noise. Efficiency scores are derived from the deviations of actual output from the frontier. So these two models help us to measure the port effectivity and efficiency. Port performance. The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, also known as UNCTAD, published a report in 1976 on port performance indicator and their application for the port areas. According to the UNCTAD's application, port performance indicators are measures of different aspects of port operations. These indicators should be used to compare performance with a target and to observe the trend in various performance levels. UNCTAD's report distinguish there are two categories, two indicators to broad these categories for the port performance. These two categories are financial indicators and operation indicators. Okay, now what are there are few models that was researched, that came into the limelight of the research, uh, that was used to evaluate port competitiveness. The models are Carnot's model. The Carnot's model describes that the Carnot's model is describing the competitiveness of the port based on the quality, setting, and profit maximization. The model, so if this a port is emphasizing on the quantity, settling, and profit maximization. So every port is uh, acquiring a model, the model that they use, uh, so that they can survive in the competition. Uh, every port takes a model that would help them to be in the competition, what to be unique in the competition, because they have to bear some point of uniqueness if they want to be in the competition. Same way, there I have collected some models, and I have collected these models, and each model is signified which how the port is thinking that it would operate. Like if a port is acquiring Carnot's model, then it would focus on the quantity, settling, and profit maximization. If a port is acquiring slot capacity analysis, then it would assess capacity utilization and competitiveness. Similar way, there are supply chain approach, decision theory, cluster and topsis analysis, SFA. SFA estimates the efficiency by separating random errors and inefficiencies. This is a unique one. Fuzzy modeling and game theory. Game theory is also a unique one. Game theory mainly analyzes strategic interactions and competitive behaviors. Okay, two main categories are focused based on the port selection. These are factors influencing user decision making and implications on regional economics. So the first factor, the factor influencing user decision making focuses on the strategic, operation, and tactical issues, and the implications on regional economics impact of ports, especially container terminals, on regional economic development. Okay, various method proposed for port selection. So from the port end, there were a model that they took to to so that they can survive in the competition, or so that they can bring something unique in the competition. From the uh, shipper end, these are the model a shipper can follow, so that they can uh, they so that they can brief themselves, or they can easily bear an idea in mind that if I follow this method, it would be much easier for me, it would be much profitable for me if I choose that port specifically. Such models are Stackelberg model. Stackelberg model as is the type of model here. Port is positioning itself strategically by making the first move, potentially gaining a competitive edge. What is the competitive analysis of this model? The competitive interaction, this model is like a competitive interaction among ports, allowing stakeholders to anticipate reactions and plan accordingly. The next model is equilibrium model. The equilibrium model identifies the optimal allowance of resources by balancing supply and demand, ensuring efficient use of port capacities. What is the stability assessment? Evaluates the stability of port operations and interaction, ensuring that no stakeholder has an incentive to deviate from the equilibrium state. And the next one is and the last one is fuzzy multiple criteria decision making model. What is the flexible decision making of this? Offers a flexible framework that accommodates varying degree of importance of different criteria, helping decision makers rank and select the best port options. So what are the factors for port selection? The factors for port selection are local cargo volume, terminal handling charge, berth availability is a very important factor Port location, the location of the port plays a much vital factors. Transshipment volume, feeder connection, frequency of ship visits, port efficiency, adequate infrastructure location, port charges, quick response to port users needs, port's reputations of cargo damage. It's a very important. If it is a much vital factor that if there is a what is the frequency of the occurrence of the cargo damage done by the port, so it would play a vital. So from the graph, from the pie chart, we can see that location is another interesting angle. It is from the pie chart we see that Asia dominates with the USA and Europe following. The ports of China, Thailand, Korea and Singapore attract the most attention in Asia, which is evident due to the fact that these are heavy export areas. So we see that in case of port selection, Asia has a percentage of around 46%, which is highest among other continents. So what is the port productivity and efficiency? So the port productivity and efficiency factors such as the factors for port productivity and efficiencies are waiting time, paperwork, lead time, container loading and unloading rates, vessel calls, congestion, vessel turnaround times, and indicative KPI present in the literature. Two basic methods have mainly been used to study port productivity and efficiency. These are the DEA and SFA, which I have explained in the previous slide. Now I have presented that the limitations, the support, the alternatives, the optimizations of these factors. Like DEA supports multi-criteria decision making, optimize observations, no need for monetary conversion benchmarking efficient unit and based on real data. And SFA has limitation of non-SFA studies. Limitations of SFA are the assumption of continuity in SFA might lead to errors of approximation. Specifying the error structure precisely is challenging, which could result in a series of error efficiency measurement. And geographical focus on port performance studies. Most research focuses on Europe, Asia and USA, driven by their significant role in global trade flows. Africa and Oceania receive less attention, which may be surprising in case of Oceania, suggesting potential gaps in research coverage. So we can see that port productivity studies by region. Here Asia is 32%, Europe is 38%, Europe be the leading one, and port productivity per terminal, we see that container percentage is the biggest, then dry bulk, liquid and multipurpose. Factors that affect port competitiveness. So what are the factors? The location, the connectivity, the hinterland, operational activity. Hinterland is an important factor. Hinterland, because the hinterland is sometimes shared by more operators. More characteristics are needed for differentiations. Quality of structure and infrastructure. The port can provide you with the structure and infrastructure so that the cargo, how is the cargo handling, how swiftly and effectively in less time the cargo is handled. Profitability is a great concern. Intermodal transportation competition is a factor. Information and control system, it is one of the most important factor. Information and control system, if the port is facilitated with VES technology, with the latest technology that is reducing the time for cargo handling. Global and economic transportation development and trends, legislation and regional competition. So lastly, I would like to conclude that the present studies is to contribute the body research. The thing is that in the increasing academic interest in the port industry was driven by the integration of ports into global supply chains and strategies, growing complexity in this supply chain. This study aimed to contribute to the body of research. This research is mainly an overview related to port competition it is categorized into mainly 4 clusters. It's port selection, port productivity and efficiency, port performance, and port competitiveness. And the research areas are categorized into mathematical modeling, economic managerial modeling, simulation, and stochastic modeling. So this was my first time evaluating a research paper and studying on a subject which was I had a less knowledge, because this subject was very new to me. So I know I may have made mistakes. uh, Please, sir, take my mistakes under consideration. I hope you will be kind enough to uh, grant my mistakes and would rectify me. uh, I apologize for the mistakes that I have made. If there may be also mistakes in my saying and in my making speech and in the slides, so please see it in the eye of grandness. Assalamu alaikum, sir.